Commissioner of the TRSBA here, Tim Wilshire. We're 10 games from the regular season finishing in the TRSBA. This is TRSBA 2023 season 26, episode 4. And we're at sort of game 44 for the season. We are. So we're going to do it raw today. We're not going to do any music. I know Dan hates a little bit of jingle music. So we decided to be a little bit lazier today and not do the music. So you'll just hear my dulcet tones, won't you just? So let's get it on, as they say. Let's share the old screen. Rightio, so the trade deadline has been set. It is the February the 7th, which is a Tuesday. And that's just over 2 weeks. That's 16 days, 15 days from today, roughly. So I think I looked at Utah up to game 49, and they have their 6 more games will be in about that sort of date. So they seem to be hitting that number first. So that's where we're going to go. I don't see any other teams that have even played 49 games yet. So there you go. The top 20 players over the last 2 weeks, I haven't really had a good look at this myself, but it's great to see the great one there, the GOAT, LeBron James, the greatest player of all time. 50.8 fantasy points over the last, he's played 5 games in the last 2 weeks. He's just been awesome. Tatum, McD, he's been really, really good. 48.5. Luka, of course, Joker as well. Lillard, Embiid, Irving, Randall continues his great form. Sabonis, it's great to see Kawhi back in the top 10. Look at that. Love it. Jalen Brunson, that's a bit of a surprise. Maybe 1 or 2 big games there. SGA, of course. Levine, yes. Vooch being good. Markkanen being a great. Harden, excellent. J-Root, it's good to see him back. There's 6 games there. Christian Wood, he just got traded in the TRSBA to the Alabama team. Westbrook, now I was giving a lot of shit to Westbrook, but he's had a really good run of 6 games. And Ja Morant. So there you go. Top 20 players the last 2 weeks. Utah Saints give up their 5-game lead. We only had this podcast a couple of weeks ago. In that time, we've had 7 games. In that time, the Saints are 2-5. The backcourt trio is still very healthy. I think SGA, Ja, and Trey have been pretty good. There's maybe a niggly injury here for Trey, Ja. But the Barbarians are going to start a win streak of their own, I believe. I think you see that they've won 6 in a row now. I think Aiton's not taking over when he needs to be. He needs to be a lot better than what he is. It's causing big issues, especially with Zion out injured. Mobley hasn't really stepped up to the next level. Vassell, as we well documented, is out. Hero's been in and out. The front court has been a big problem for the Saints. Barbs, on the other hand, just getting huge numbers again from Bam Adebayo and from Siakam and from Curry and from Lillard in particular. Crazy numbers from Lillard. Simon's off the bench. Maxey back from the injury. That Alabama do that trade again. They got rid of Ingram. Ingram had been injured, and they ended up getting Christian Wood and John Collins. LaMelo has injured his ankle again, probably out the rest of the next couple of weeks. But Alabama have won 6 of their last 7. KD and Westbrook are doing both very, very good. They have to ride KD's injury lately as well. Will they get dealt before the deadline? It's quite possible. The way the mindset of a Brad Heffernan right now would be that those 2 players would probably go before the trade deadline. I'm not sure. KD, we don't know. He's had a pinch and he's kept KD for probably longer than he's kept anybody else. Will he keep him? I'm not sure. The Predators go down again after going up. They're just getting bombarded, and they've lost 4 straight now on the road after they had a good record of 12-9. Obviously, Banchero was going to be Rookie of the Year. Beal and PG missing games. Levine solid, but they're certainly having, the Predators are certainly, in my opinion, having lots of issues, and it's going to be interesting to see where they end up. It could be all over the place. They were up and down, and that's what the Battle of the East. Now, the big battle really In the East, though, is the Nerds and the Cows right now. These two teams, 25 and 19. We've got Porzingis playing really, really well. We've got Julius Randle playing all world and likely to make the All-Star game. I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys were in the All-Star game. Harden, DeRozan are shaping up for them. But as I said, Jaylen Brown, I think there's no doubt that he'll get his first All-Star game. I don't think he's ever been in the All-Star game, and he's definitely going to make it this year, I think. There's no doubt about it. They're looking really, really good, the Cows. And here's me thinking they're probably tanking at the start of the season, really taking it up to all the teams at the moment. The OC double doubles, they're going to in that third spot in the West, continuing to mount pressure. Lucas still in the number one in the D. We hear good words, some good news about AD being back very, very soon. Bobby Portis Pirtle being solid. There's been lack of pure guard, really hurting their double doubles. It's good to have J-Rue Holiday back as well. I think they can make a run, and certainly they're dangerous, especially to those teams in the West. I mean, they're a clear third best team in the league at the moment. It's clear as crystal, in my opinion, behind those first two. The Flyers and the Tigers are battling for the home court in the playoffs. So basically, looks like these two teams will play that 4 versus 5, and whoever wins that will go on to play the number 1 seed. So they're battling hard, and it's battling to see who's going to get the advantage, who's going to get that home court advantage between the Flyers and the Tigers. Joker and LeBron have been on fire. These two guys have been absolutely awesome. And Leonard, as we said, he was in the top 10. So they had 3 guys in the top 10, which is in the last 2 weeks, which is catapulting them to success. And I think unless something happens, they should have the advantage over the Tigers come down the stretch of the season with 10 games to go, but we just never know. Tigers need to look at how can they get, what can they do to counteract what's happened, the good fortune of the Flyers, as we say. How can they sort of get back to getting an advantage? Halliburton's been out injured. That hasn't helped the San Francisco Tigers. Let's have a look at the standings. As we said, the Wild Boars with a 3-game gap now, which is big for them. The Cows, Devils battling hard. I think the battle here is probably going to be the Jaguars and the Butchers. One of those teams is going to get that 5th spot, and the other team's going to miss out. That's what it's looking like at the moment, but the Predators could fall completely away as well, especially they've been on a bit of a cold streak of late. So it's coming down to those. We know the Wolfhounds are going to be second bottom. We know the Lions are going to be bottom. It's a good battle. If you have a look at the West, as we said, the double doubles are just 3 games behind, but Tigers and Flyers 25 and 19, which is the same sort of record as the Cows and the Devils. And those guys have got even better averages. There you go. Look at the Flyers, 220.4. That's a really good average. Penguins have been good too. The Snipers, we know they're going to miss out on the playoffs. Penguins look like they're probably going to miss out unless something miraculously happens there. They'll miss out this time around. I think they had Cade or something. I think that sort of certainly hurt them. Hurricanes not looking too great there, to be honest. Probably not the worst team in TRSBA history, but them and the Lions looking really, really, really bad at the moment. There's Alperen Sengun and Giannis, the Snipers, Penguins. Okay, let's just have a look. I think this is the last sort of discussion it's a pretty short sort of podcast episode today. Let's just discuss about those multi-year roster spots that are going to be contested with 2 weeks out. And if we look at the East, we've got the Bulls, we've got the 1 spot left, and they do have cap. So because they've done all those trades, they've been able to really get under the cap. And it's quickly, is he the guy? Is he the guy that Hef might resign? He's playing really, really well. He's young. He's a bit vibrant. Herky-jerky, whatever you want to call it. He's great. The Lions have 2 spots, but they're the worst team in the East. It's going to be Oubre maybe and somebody else. So there's some flexibility there for Lions to do some trade deadline trading. Well, the Nerds, I think they've really held on late because they wanted to keep their options open. He's sort of going back and forth between a lot of different guys for those spots. I think Killian Hayes has definitely got a spot. Grimes, most definitely. Isaiah Stewart, likely. He's better. He's a lot better than Marvin Bagley, who's one of the other guys in the running. But I just think it could be Isaiah Stewart, or maybe they go for another player off another team, because Isaiah Stewart, you can nearly get that sort of guy off the waiver wire at any time. If we have a look at the teams that are full, there are 4 of them in the East. We've got the Cows, the Jags, the Butchers, and the Hounds. Jags are still looking to maybe do a trade because they'd like to resign Mark Williams. So if there's a player that you want on the Jags team, it might be able to get him for a pick. It's quite possible. Maybe a Zubac Zubac is definitely available. We know that for sure. He's probably the number 1 guy. Valanciunas is definitely available as well. The West, the Barbarians they may not sign anybody. Trey Jones they've waited too long. I mean, they could have got him probably at the start of the season. They could have got him, but his expectations and his wants have blown out so much that he cannot possibly be re-signed unless the Barbs do a trade. So what are they going to do? Are they just going to let Trey Jones walk? I mean, he's had a good season. He's really been a great free agent signing, like a lot of these other Bogdanoviches on the team. But they might resign one, but they've got to really find someone who's only a mil, or maybe it's a young guy. Maybe that's where you go. Maybe take a risk there, or not at all. Maybe they just want to keep their options open for next season. I can't see them keeping Fred VanVleet for too much longer. He's the guy that's old when it comes to not necessarily his age, but just his knees. And his contract dictates that he's at the full price, and we don't think he's going to keep playing like he has been for the next few years after this season. So he's probably the one I think will go. The Saints are done. I think they miss out on Magaporta and Clarkson. They won't have them next season, but they may keep them for the playoff run. So they could trade them for a draft choice, or they could help them in the playoff run. It all depends what Dennis will think is going to be more important here. With someone like a Magaporta Jr., is it more important to get some sort of first round value now, or is it better to have these guys in the playoff run where you can have guys that potentially could get injured and you might need to go that deep in the rotation? So the OC are full at 39.6, as are the Tigers. So those 2 teams are full when it comes to the cap. The Flyers have a lot of work to do. They can sign up to 5 players. They need to re-sign LeBron and Rozier, and 3 others, which could be anybody. The Pens have a large cap space and 2 spots left. They've got Herter and Robert Williams. They're the likely 2 guys if they don't do too much else there. The Snipers have got 3 spots available. They have to sign Giannis, obviously, and the other 2 spots are really up for grabs, but Dylan Brooks could be one of them, and somebody else obviously will get that last spot. The Hurricanes, the worst team in the TRSBA at the moment, seems to be by far. I don't know if that's probably not accurate with the way the Lions are playing. They've got 4 to sign. Kessler's definitely going to be one of those. Top 5 rookie. Zach Collins, possibly. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Will Wiseman be signed or waived. Wiseman, a number 2 pick in the draft, hasn't sort of been that great, and certainly hasn't been resigned. And what they will do with him? They're going to let him walk? Is he that bad? It's hard to know. Anyway, I don't think there's much more to say there. That's been another edition of the TRSBA podcast with Commissioner Tim Wilshire. I hope you're all enjoying your weekend and appreciating the NBA games. We'll see you soon, and there'll probably be the next one will be around the time of the playoffs. See ya.